You are required to complete this video and answer the questions in the play pause it in order to be able to retake your test for a better grade. So we're going to start with solving equations. I'm going to show you a different approach from what we learned in class. So the first one that we have here is find the value of x that makes the following equation true. Negative 4x minus 7, parentheses negative 7x minus 10 equals negative, parentheses negative 10x minus 1, parentheses minus 1. Some of the steps are going to look similar because the very first step you want to do is to distribute, just like before. Let's remember, distribute means to multiply. And what we're multiplying is the numbers that are in front of the parentheses. I'm going to rewrite this because everywhere where I don't see a number, like and this minus right there, I'm going to rewrite as a negative 1 to remind myself that there is a number that I need to distribute. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to start on the left side. Negative 7 times negative 7, it's a positive 49x. Negative 7 times negative 10, that's a positive 70. Then on the right side of the equation, I have negative 1 times negative 10, that is a positive 10x. Then negative 1 times negative 1, that is a positive 1. So right there, I just distributed. I'm going to bring everything else down that I did not use. So that means that negative 4x. And I'm going to bring this negative 1 that was outside of the parentheses. Now that I did that, I can move on to my next step. And that's going to be to have all my x's on the left side. So move all x's to the left. We don't want this positive 10x over here. So when we move it to the left side over here, it's going to become a negative 10x. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it with the negative 10x on the other side now. So I have negative 4x. I have a 49x over here. And then now I also have my negative 10x that transfer over from the other side of the equation. I still have that positive 70, and I still have my positive 1 and my negative 1 on the right side. The third step I'm going to do here is move all constants to the right, because I don't want them on the left with the x's. I just want the x's on the left, nothing else. So move all the constants to the right. Just like we move the x's, we flip the sign when it crosses over the equal sign. I'm going to take this positive 70, and when it transfers over to the right side, it's going to become a negative 70. I'm going to drop everything else down, including my equal sign, my positive 1, and my negative 1 that were already there on the right. And I'm going to rewrite my new left side. So negative 4x, my 49x, and my negative 10x. So basically now I have grouped them where I have all my x's on the left and I have all my constants on the right. I'm going to go ahead and have a fourth step here. And that's going to be to combine like terms on each side of the equation. So combine like terms, we want to do all the x's. So negative 4 plus 49 minus 10. That's going to give me a 35x on the left side. On the right side, I'm going to do negative 70 plus 1 minus 1. And that's just going to be a negative 70 right there. So I combined all my like terms on each side of the equation. And then the last step to get that x by itself is going to be to divide the 35 from the x. So think about the 35 and the x as they are attached to each other and you need to detach them. And how do you detach things? You divide them. So we're going to divide by the coefficient of x so that we can get that x completely by itself. That means I'm going to divide by 35. Notice it's just 35, not the x with it, because I still want that x by itself on the left side. 35 divided by 35, it's a 1x, which is what I want there. And then on the right side, I have negative 70 divided by 35, which now equals a negative 2. And just like that, I have solved for x. Our next example is going to be to solve inequalities. It's asking us to solve the following inequality and represent its solution set on the number line. Just like the equations, we're going to start with distributing because we don't want any of those parentheses. So that's what I'm going to start with first. I get to drop my 9x. This negative needs to be distributed without parentheses. Think about it like an invisible negative 1 there. So negative 1 times 9x is going to be negative 9x. Negative 1 times negative 3, that's going to be a positive 3. I get to drop my less than or equal to, my negative 3x, my negative 8, and my negative 4. Now my next step is going to be to move all my x's to the left, just like before. That means that negative 3x that's on the right side, I no longer want it there. I want it on the left side over here, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write it right there on the left with all the other x's. But remember, when it crosses over, it becomes positive. This 9x was positive, so I'm just going to put a plus right there. Doesn't exist in here anymore. I'm going to rewrite my equation now with my new numbers. So 3x plus 9x minus 9x, drop my 3, drop my inequality sign, and my negative 8 and my negative 4. Now I need to move all my constants to the right. So move the constants to the right. To do that, just like before, I'm going to take it, cross it over, and when it crosses over, since it was a positive on the left, when it moves to the right, it's going to become a negative 3. Now, it's no longer there on the left side. Once again, I can rewrite my inequality just so that it looks cleaner and more organized, because on my next step is going to be to combine my terms. So let's go ahead and write down step number 4, combine my terms. This is easy now because they're all grouped together. Okay, 3x plus 9x minus 9x. And this is just 3x on the left side. On the right side, I should get, from adding negative 8, negative 4, and negative 3, a negative 15. Then, my last step over here is going to be to detach the 3 from the x. So divide by the coefficient of x. That means the 3, and whatever I do on one side, I have to do it to the other. And I get that my answer is x is less than or equal to negative 15 divided by 3, it's a negative 5. Now that I got my answer, I get to graph it on my number line. My number line doesn't have any numbers, so I'm going to have to go and label it. I'm going to put 0 right here, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's a less than or equal to, I need to use a solid circle. And I'm going to place a solid circle at negative 5. And because my inequality sign, it's pointing to the left right here, my graph over here is also going to be pointing to the left. showing all the numbers to the left of that negative 5 that are less than that negative 5 would make this equation inequality true. For our last example, we're going to go ahead and solve for y. It's asking us to write an equation that represents 5x minus 2y equals negative 16 when solved for y. Just like we solved the other equations, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite the problem. And the very first thing is, it's asking us to solve for y. So I'm going to circle my y to remember what I need to keep on the left side. Now, I have this 5x right here that I don't want there because I'm trying to get that y by itself on the left. Since it's a positive 5x right now, when it crosses over to the right side, it becomes a negative 5x. So it was positive on the left, but we need it on the right side. So now it's negative, and it's no longer there on the left. I get to drop my negative 2y, get to drop my negative 16 and my negative 5x. Now I do not combine the negative 16 with the 5x because they are not like terms. The 16 does not have an x. Once again, I'm going to circle my y to remember that's what I need to get by itself. I need to get rid of that negative 2. It is attached to that y. So to detach, I'm going to divide by negative 2. Whatever I do on one side, gotta do it to the other. Whenever you do this, make sure you divide both terms, the negative 16 and the negative 5, by that negative 2. What that does, makes this a 1. And then now I have y equals negative 16 divided by negative 2. That's a positive 8. Now, negative 5 and negative 2 cannot be simplified. But what we do remember is that when we divide two negatives, it becomes positive. So now I have a positive 5 over 2x. And I have solved for y.